So today we are receiving Carmen Salameh, a French entrepreneur in Hong Kong since 1 year now, something like that already. So she will share with us her experience as a new entrepreneur in Hong Kong, why she came here, what she's doing. She's actually working in digital marketing, so she also shares some tips and tricks on digital marketing. And she will also talk about her podcast. So we'll be discussing like some marketing with podcasts, with social media. So it will be pretty interesting. So thanks for coming and joining us today, Carmen.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, you're welcome. So maybe first, before we get into the meat of the topic, could you share a bit about yourself, who you are, how you ended up in Hong Kong, and why you decided to start your business here in Hong Kong?
Yeah, so thanks for the introduction. So I'm French, as you said. I was living in Paris before, well, my entire life, except a few years abroad as a student. Mm-hmm. And I was working in corporate before in digital marketing in a tech company. And I used to travel around Europe. And a bit more than a year ago, I settled in Hong Kong. So it was my first time, as a grown-up leaving my country. Mm-hmm. And also it was my first time in Hong Kong. When I arrived here to live was the first time. So I didn't know anything about this city.
How did you choose to, or how did you land it here? What was the process? Because
love.
Love. Oh.
Yeah, actually my husband has been living here for 8 years. Mm-hmm. He's French too, and he works in finance. And it's been a few years I wanted to live abroad at that time. Mm-hmm. And I thought it was the good time, the good opportunity to take the leap and just try. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't really a plan. I just felt I had to try something new. And what would be the worst thing to happen? I don't like Hong Kong, I go back home.
Yeah, that's pretty simple, yeah.
So
how did you like the city then?
It's an amazing city. It's really intense. Mm-hmm. So I don't think it's for everybody. If you are very outgoing and you like to do many things, meet people, you have projects, to me, it's a city of opportunities.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. If you love to plant salad and look at them growing in your garden, don't come to Hong Kong.
No.
It's not. Nothing wrong about it, but it's not the place. Yeah. Okay, and then how did you decide to start a business? What was the process and?
So I worked in my last company for 4 years, mm-hmm. and I always felt I had this in me, this entrepreneur mindset. Mm-hmm. Maybe it comes from my family. Usually it's like that. When you have role models or people that have a successful company, you try to think about it. And also I'm a very independent soul. And what drives me is freedom and being independent. Mm-hmm. So that's completely aligned with being an entrepreneur. And when I came here, I was working remotely with my, former job. And then I started thinking, what can I do? What I'm good at? Mm-hmm. Digital marketing, social media. Okay, so maybe I can do something about it. And step by step, I started my company. I registered my company in Hong Kong. And then was the moment to find clients.
So you registered the company or you work as a sole proprietor?
I registered the company.
So you have a limited company?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because I was hesitant between the two. Mm-hmm. And I thought, if I have a limited company, it gives me a status of, mm-hmm. Entrepreneur. Like it's a serious thing. It's not.
It's definitely more credible.
Yes. Yeah. And also if I want to work with clients abroad, I thought it's easier. Mm-hmm. And I have clients in France mm-hmm. and in Hong Kong. So actually it's better to have a proper limited company.
Okay. Yeah, one more thing, because you do have a podcast. We'll move to that in the next question. But I'm just curious, did you start the podcast before or after registering the company?
At the same time, pretty much.
Same time.
Well, yeah. I launched the podcast the same month I registered the company. Mm-hmm. And why I created that podcast, Hong Kong Business Owners, because I started, thinking about entrepreneur, and I was really having a step into entrepreneurship. And I felt, as Hong Kong for me was a new city, so I had to build my network, and those things takes time. And as an entrepreneur, you need to meet like-minded people. And you can feel sometimes kind of lonely because my company is quite new, and I'm alone working in my company with my clients. So I do many things at the same time, and it's good to share experience with other entrepreneurs. So that's why I initially started the podcast.
It's a good way to build the audience as well, and get people knowing you. So that's why I was asking whether you set it up before or after, because it can be, for those that want to start a business, it can be a good idea sometimes to, hey, let's try to get some exposure first, see if people like me, if they're interested in me, if I can build trust with an audience, and after see what I can sell them, right? So that's why I was wondering, like, did she start before or after? So, okay, that's cool.
Exactly.
So what was the journey so far? Like, first, what is the podcast about, and what was the outcome so far of this podcast?
So the podcast is about entrepreneurs in Hong Kong. I did a bit of research, and actually there were no real similar podcasts, because there are some in Cantonese. Well, I don't understand anything, so that's not for me. And there are some also in French about entrepreneurs in Hong Kong, because there's a big French community here. But I wanted to touch everybody. I wanted to, to reflect Hong Kong. Hong Kong is a melting pot of many different people from anywhere on the planet doing so many different things. So I created that podcast. It's in English, so available to anyone speaking English. And I interview expat, locals, people in the wellness industry, people in tech, people in...
So you can see the whole landscape in Hong Kong, basically. Did you get any clients from your podcast, or how did
Yes, actually, yes. And initially, that was also part of the objectives. I thought, I need a network, I need clients. So what can I do? I'm good at creating content, and I love podcasts, so let's create my own. And also, it's a good thing when you introduce yourself to people you don't know when you are at networking events. It's something people remember, because there are many marketing agencies in Hong Kong, but people will remember, oh, she's the girl with the podcast. I remember that. And they might listen to it, and then it's the first step to maybe sell something afterwards.
The cool thing is that you don't have to sell something, you're offering something, basically. So I'll give you exposure on my podcast. Oh cool, let's do it.
That was exactly the thing I thought. We always ask people to do something. I want to give them something, and then they'll remember me.
Well, for us at this moment, we are giving exposure to our clients and partners, but we are not really inviting outsiders yet. Except you. You're not yet client of ATHENASIA. That's something we have to solve later. Anyway. Podcast. So far, how many podcasts did you...
How many episodes? I have 7 episodes out.
7 already, okay. And all audio as well, no videos yet.
Yeah, well, they're on YouTube, but it's not a video. I mean, it's on YouTube, but you don't see me.
Okay, so that's the next step?
Or? Yeah.
Okay. By the way, at the end of the video, I will put some, not at the end of the video, under the video, I will put some link to Carmen podcast. So if you want, you can just register and have a look at what she's doing. So your expertise is in digital marketing. So maybe you could share with us a little bit, like, what are the current trends in digital marketing? What do you see in the landscape? What do you think like entrepreneurs should be doing in digital marketing? And maybe your 3 top tips, like, okay, that's the thing you, as an entrepreneur, you can't miss that. You should do these, and that.
Well, that's a tough question. But there's from what I see, at least in Hong Kong, there's a lot of digital marketing agencies, and they're all doing many different things, which is good. And I mean, it's a decision they made, and I chose to focus on social media marketing. Why? Because do you know that we spend on average more than 2 hours on social media every day? And I read that, I thought, that means we have 7 days a week opportunities to interact with the people. Mm-hmm. So every entrepreneur who tell me, oh yeah, but I'm not sure I need social media. Like, but what do you do when you hear about a brand? You Google it, you go on Instagram or on social media. So I try to explain to them how to seize the opportunity of using social media to really grow your business and reach so much more people.
Okay.
Yeah. And about the tips about the digital marketing strategy, the 3 tips I would give you is the first one, set clear and achievable objectives. So everything that you do must be towards reaching one or several objectives. Otherwise, you just waste your time and energy. Everything you do, okay, what's the focus?
So what kind of should you plan in terms of objective? Is how many clients you get, or like how many views, or like times, or I mean
depends. I mean
likes.
Okay, what do you want to achieve with your Instagram page, for example? Mm-hmm. Well, for me, for example, the podcast I wanted to create my network and have clients. Mm-hmm. So everything I did was towards that goal. So, for example, the way I created the episodes, the people I met, all of this is towards one goal. And on social media, it's the same thing. Like, who do you want to attract? How? And then, yeah, it can be a number of growing your community or selling more. Of course, it's always selling more, but if you have clear objectives, you know why you're doing things. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, what's the point?
Okay. So first tip, set your goals.
Yes.
Okay.
The second one, I would say, study your audience, because you're talking to someone, and you're delivering a message. But if you're delivering a message, you need to know to whom you are doing it. Like, if you speak to someone, how can you make sure this person will be interested in what you're saying, what you're telling them?
Yeah. How can you know that? Because I mean, social media, although they're supposed to be social, they're quite impersonal. When people look at your video, you don't really know who's looking at your videos, right? It's because people are quite anonymous on the social media. You have a bit of stat. Let's say on YouTube, you can see if it's more male or women, men or women that is watching it, the age group, but that's pretty vague. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I would see it the other way around. Mm-hmm. Like, you start your business, you know who you want to attract, who are your clients, mm-hmm. and then you try to target those people instead of who looks at my videos on YouTube or Instagram. No, who do you want to see? Who looking at your videos? That's the question. Who do you want to target? If you want to target, I don't know, 18, 25-year-old people, more women, more men, and then you target your content. So if I don't know, if you're talking to people who love to work out every day and eat healthy, your message will be different from people who love to party every day, Yeah,
obviously, yeah. But there's also the idea of being authentic as well when you go to the social media, right? So I know the way I started my YouTube channel, I was not overly strategic at the beginning. I was just like, this is who I am, this is what I do, let's see who comes, And then I realized that this approach was working quite well for me, at least in terms of sales. Not necessarily for the growth of the channel, because I'm super niche, especially at the beginning. But I realized that, being authentic, and saying, look, I'm not trying to hide who I am. I'm not trying to be who I'm not. But I realized my clients appreciated that, and I attract a certain type of people. And then after I was like, oh, that's the kind of people I'm attracting. And then I try to push it more that way.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't know if it's a bad approach, or I don't know what you think.
It's authenticity is the best thing. I mean, yeah, but it's not opposite to knowing your audience. Because if not talking about social media, but just study your clients. Who are they? If you manage to sell them something, what made it work? And then you study that, and then you replicate, and of course always.
And then you refine the content. Okay. So tips 2 is know your audience and target your message to your audience. About that, yeah. And tips 3?
Tips 3, I would say, sometimes we can be like, I'm not inspired. I don't know what content to share. I would say, don't be afraid of being inspired by what others do. Like, look at the content of the other people in your industry.
So, third, plagiarism.
You can not copy paste, but copy and create. I would say, kind of copy and create. You can use ChatGPT, but look around what others do, the trends, what people love, and feed your inspiration. I would say.
Okay. It's like an artist walking in a museum.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. I think we have covered quite a few things. Is there anything you would like to add to the interview? Anything you would like to say?
Well, it was usually I'm at your place.
Yeah, how it feels then.
it feels okay. It feels good. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Good. So thank you for joining us,
Thank you.
Carmen. I think it was a really interesting video. We managed to keep it relatively short and on time. This time no technical issues so far, so fantastic. Hopefully, we'll just turn the whole thing down and then we'll realize that the microphone didn't work. So anyway, it was really nice to have you here. So if you're interested by Carmen podcast, I'll put the link in the description. So don't hesitate to have a look at her podcast to discover more about Hong Kong, entrepreneurship in Hong Kong, and different experience of entrepreneurs here.
And also maybe you can add the link to my digital marketing agency.
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
It's called Octo Gen.
Octo Gen.
Yes.
And specialized 100% on social medias. Yeah. Okay, and also in French and English, you can serve both.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, so thank you, Carmen.
Thank you.
Hope you guys enjoy, and I see you in the next podcast in, I don't know, 1-2 weeks time. I'm not really that disciplined, so we'll see. Okay, thank you. See you guys.
Bye.